You can't be a YouTube star yet, girl. Nope. Don't come in here. Don't come in here. Uh-oh. Here's my YouTube star. Right there. Yeah, you're trying to get seen, huh? You're trying to get discovered? You're too beautiful. You're just too beautiful for the world. Not happening yet. Too beautiful. Hey, fantasy football community. This is Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and my name is Steve. And as you can tell, my compadre, James, unfortunately is not here. So, with that said, I have a nice, beautiful picture of him, just for remembrance. Right now, his beautiful baby girl was born today, so that is some great news. So, obviously, super pumped for him. I know the baby girl is the cutest thing I've seen, so, obviously, besides my daughter. But congratulations, James. And this start-sit video is going to be for you. And obviously, we'll have you on the next video so that way we get you back into the YouTube community. So we are here for your Week 11 start-sit video. Yes, Week 11. So awesome. We are getting there. We're getting to those playoffs. Hopefully, you guys are in the right position to win. I know my team's doing pretty good. We're not going to talk about James's team. Okay? But we're all within about a game or two of each other. And that's actually what makes fantasy football so great, is when really the last 2 to 3 weeks, every game can really decide if you're getting into the playoffs or not. Hopefully this video is going to help you guys obviously get in those right positions. That way you either get a bye week if your team has that, or just get in a good position to have some good matchups going into the championship playoff season. So thank you guys for watching this stuff. While you're here, make sure you hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. Okay, we're at 104 subscribers, so thank you guys for subscribing, hitting that notification so you guys can see our content. Obviously, our next goal is 125. We are currently doing a giveaway. Our giveaway right now is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and comment on our latest video, which right now would be this one, your favorite team. When we hit 300 subscribers, we will actually announce the winner for a mini NFL helmet or an NFL hat of your favorite team. So please, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our handles are in the description below. Obviously, on Twitter, we'll be able to answer any lineup questions you have instantly, any waiver questions you have instantly, so that way you guys can get in the right position for your week. Now let's go into our studs. Stud of the week, okay? So this one could have gone a couple different ways, right? There was some actually really good gameplay this past weekend. You've got some players that were just doing a phenomenal job. Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Tom Brady, Roethlisberger. They had some really good games. But I actually chose to go with Rojo, good old Ronald Jones. He had an amazing game. He had that 98-yard rushing touchdown. Obviously, that helped, up his numbers. But he did 192 rushing yards. 1 touchdown. Obviously, if you're in a league that has bonuses, he probably got you bonus points for that touchdown. He did a really great job. Obviously, the fumble scared some people. The fumble kind of made people nervous. Last time he had a fumble, I think Tom Brady was the one who kicked him out. But Ronald Jones, paid in redemption, had that 98-yard to help them have a victorious, weekend. So, as far as dud of the week, again, a couple different options. But I actually went Russell Wilson this week. I think with the expectation of what Russell Wilson is and can be, he did not have a great game. At least in our fantasy league, he finished just under 5 points, which is dreadful. He didn't do very well. 248 passing yards, 2 interceptions. He had a fumble loss. He just looked nervous. I don't know what it was. I get the team he went against is a pretty good defense, but he just didn't look prepared. And this is supposed to be somebody that a lot of people talked about being the MVP this season. And I know some people kind of backed away after that game. But I think he'll have a good turnaround this week. But Russell Wilson was our dud of the week. So, QBs. Getting right off into this, okay? So, QBs. So, the first guy I want to talk about as far as the QB goes is going to be Cam Newton. So, Cam Newton obviously had a great game. Not the game that everyone hopes a Cam Newton game will be, but he did really well. He helped win that game. He actually had I think a couple rush touchdowns, which is what you're expecting out of Cam Newton, right? A rush touchdown, a pass touchdown, hopefully not an interception. So Cam Newton actually did a really good job. He's going against Houston this week. Now, that's a weird one, right? So Houston is not notoriously great at defense. They've been really struggling. but they did a good job against Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. That was a low-scoring game. It was 10-7. Not a lot going on, but the weather played a factor in that. So I don't think that's going to be as big of a concern this week. I think Cam Newton's actually going to do a really great job. Help turn around the Patriots, obviously. They're going in the right direction. And obviously get you some fantasy points this week. He's probably on your waivers. Not saying you have to go after him, but if you're in need of a quarterback, based off of bye weeks, he might be something you might want to consider, right? So your bye weeks this week, we've got, obviously the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, right? So those are some of your bye week teams. The Giants. Those are some guys you may need to consider as far as fill-ins. So make sure, if you need to, probably go after Cam on the waivers. Next guy is Kirk Cousins. I mentioned Kirk Cousins in our waiver wire video. He actually turned it around on Monday Night Game. 2 touchdowns. Yes, there was an interception. Really, that interception was off of Thielen. It was a little high, but Thielen kind of gave that one away. So I think he would have had a nice, clean game for him. And they're going against Dallas. Dallas has improved defensively. They've actually improved on the rushing side. Their linebackers are getting healthy. Their defensive line's pretty healthy. Where Dallas struggles is consistently the back end, right? And with the loss of Trevor Diggs going on IR, it's really the secondary. So right now, Kirk Cousins is going against Dallas. Dallas has given up the 5th most points to the quarterback position. So I expect Kirk Cousins to have a really good game, to continue his success that he did on Monday night. Great start this week. Last quarterback for the start, Teddy Bridgewater. So Bridgewater had a good game, more than what we thought he was going to have. He's going against Detroit. He's giving up the 10th most points to the quarterback position. And Teddy Bridgewater is that dual threat. McCaffrey's been announced out again, of course. So Mike Davis will still be the starting running back. But Teddy Bridgewater has been spreading the ball around. DJ Moore actually looked great. I mean, he came out of nowhere, right? I mean, this guy can have some amazing games, and in some games he kind of disappears. And I expect Robbie Anderson to kind of turn around. He had a sloppy game last week, and he's going to have a great game this week. So again, I think for what's coming up, schedule-wise, Teddy Bridgewater is a great start for you. Now, as far as the sits go, so we have Ryan Tannehill. We had Ryan Tannehill as a sit last week. Didn't do great. We have Ryan Tannehill as a sit this week. He's going against Baltimore. Baltimore does a really great job on the defensive side. And Ryan Tannehill just struggled. And I think if you look at Ryan Tannehill's rest of the season, he's got really tough matchups. Yeah, he's got some good potential and he's got some good weapons. But I don't expect those 302 to 3 touchdown games happening again. So Tannehill is somebody I would absolutely bench. Maybe consider dropping, but he's not somebody I would trust at all this week. Then we got Jared Goff. So Goff had a good game against the Rams. Not as good as we thought they were going to be, but he still had a really good game. He's going against Tampa this week. Tampa's given up really the 7th fewest points to the quarterback position. So with that said, Goff is going to play a lot of behind. I actually expect a pretty good game. I'm thinking in the mid-20s for both teams as far as points go. So I do expect some touchdowns, but I also expect some challenges, right? There are some really good matchups in this game, but Goff is not a good one. So I expect that one to be somebody I would sit this week. Next guy and last guy for the sits this week as far as quarterback goes is Joe Burrow. All right, so here's the deal with Joe Burrow. He had some good matchups early this season. He's got some good receivers. You guys saw T. Higgins last week. Did an amazing job. Tyler Boyd kind of struggled, but T. Higgins did a really great job. And it could be really one of those guys who are going to really, really do well. But I'm going against Washington football team this week. And Washington actually is a pretty good defense. They're the 10th fewest points to the quarterback position. And I expect that to continue. Okay? Alex Smith actually did a really good job as far as play. Yes, they lost. But I do expect it to be a pretty close game. I don't expect it to be a high-scoring game, which means there's not going to be like a point of emphasis where Joe Burrow has to pass 40, 50 times. Obviously, the running back position for the Bengals is still uncertainty with Joe Mixon if he's coming back. Gio struggled last week. So there's that avenue that might help him, throw 25 to 30 passes. But I don't expect really a lot more than that from Joe Burrow, so I would absolutely sit him this week. Now we're going to go into the wide receiver position, my favorite position. So as far as a good start this week, I actually have Justin Jefferson. Now, if you look at the trend of Justin Jefferson, he has 2 bad weeks, amazing week, 2 bad weeks, amazing week. So the trend technically is a bad week, but he's going against Dallas, who doesn't have their starting corner in Trevor Diggs with the IR. He's going to get, probably Uzier, maybe Thomas, as far as the cornerbacks, and they're okay, but they're not going to be somebody I would be concerned with. Justin Jefferson is the guy I start this week over Thielen. Obviously, you can still start Thielen, but I think he's going to have the better matchup like he did last week. I think Thielen obviously had the touchdowns, he had the red zone targets, but as far as the overall game, Justin Jefferson was open almost every play. He had a really good game, over 100 receiving yards. And I expect that same thing this week. I expect him to be close to, or if not, over 100 receiving yards and at least one touchdown. So Justin Jefferson, you're just going to do it. I've got you starting. I hate to say it. You're going to do it. Next guy is Amari Cooper. So I expect this game to actually be a pretty high-scoring game in a sense that I think Minnesota's going to score high. I think Dallas will try to keep up. Andy Dalton is expected to be back this week, which is why I actually put a Dallas player, right? So Amari Cooper is going to be the favorite target of Andy Dalton. And on top of that, Minnesota's been missing their cornerbacks the past couple weeks. So I expect the same thing. So I expect their secondary to really struggle. Amari Cooper is a great route runner. He can get open. I expect at least 8 to 9 targets to him, catching at least 6 to 7 balls, maybe 80 to 90 yards. So I expect Amari Cooper to have a really good game this week. Make sure you put him in your lineup. Last guy for the starting is actually going to be Jacoby Myers for the New England Patriots. He's somebody you probably picked up on waivers, and if you haven't and he's still available, make sure you do. He's really the only really solid target for Cam Newton as far as the passing game goes. Edelman's still out with IR. N'Keal Harry just doesn't exist for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So Myers has done a really good job. And he's done some trick plays, right? He can play quarterback. He obviously can run the ball behind, the line as far as any sweeps. And he's a good explosive player down the field. So I expect Myers to have another solid game like he did. And I think based off of their matchup, Houston doesn't do a great job at covering, the secondary side. So I expect Myers to have a good anywhere from 15 to 18 points for you if you do PPR this week for you. As far as sits go, now people are going to probably not agree with me and think I'm crazy, but I'm sitting Chris Godwin this week. The reason why I have Chris Godwin sitting is a couple things. I think he's going to get Jalen Ramsey. I don't think it's going to go to Mike Evans. And the reason why I say that is if you base off targets and you base off of the matchups, Mike Evans really isn't the guy that Tom Brady's been throwing to. He had a great game last week. Actually, all the receivers had a great game last week. I don't expect the same thing this week, and I expect Godwin to be the one that gets shut down. I actually think Antonio Brown's going to have a decent game. Mike Evans will be okay, but I don't trust Chris Godwin this week. You may not agree with me. Let me know in the comments down below if you do or don't, but I don't think Chris Godwin is somebody I would trust. I would sit him, especially if you have some better options out there. Next guy I've got as far as your sit goes for the receiver position is A.J. Brown. Again, another solid start receiver, but last week he bombed when it went against a great defense. Going against another great defense in Baltimore. He'll probably have Humphrey or even Marcus Peters. It really doesn't matter at this point. They both do a really good job at covering. A.J. Brown's not somebody I trust. I would sit him down absolutely. Then the following week, they go against Indy again. A.J. Brown is not somebody I would absolutely trust. If you're still in the trade deadline, he'd be somebody I would actually probably try to trade. Get somebody with a better playoff schedule because right now they have a really tough one for you. Last guy is Devante Parker for the Miami Dolphins. So Devante Parker, okay, I have him actually personally on one of my football teams. I like Devante Parker. Problem is, Tua does not, apparently. I'm not sure what's going on between that relationship. Tua actually likes to target Grant, even Gesicki. So and if you look at the matchup, Denver actually does an okay job at covering, in the secondary. So I just don't trust Devante Parker. He's going to get some targets. I expect 5 to 7 targets in this game. I don't see him being really turned around in much. I think maybe 3 to 5 catches, maybe. I don't expect a touchdown, so I don't trust Devante Parker this week. So make sure you sit him, okay? As far as running back position goes, obviously this is a big one. So a good one that's a good start this week is going to be DeAndre Swift. So he got the starting job. Finally, Matt Patricia decided to actually do a coaching job for once and actually make a smart decision. Instead of playing this three-headed monster back there and not knowing who was going to be running the ball. Running backs and good running backs need to carry the ball several times to start building up. and wearing down the defense. You can't keep doing that when your running back rests for 5-6 plays, then you throw him in for maybe 2, then rest him again. It just doesn't work. DeAndre Swift is a type of running back that has to continue to run the ball. He did a great job last week, and I expect that to happen this week. They're going against Carolina, who gives up the 4th most points to the running back position. Swift is your guy. Just make sure you keep starting him. If you haven't grabbed him as far as any trades, if you possibly can, great matchups coming up. Swift is a good one for you. Next is Mike Davis. So Mike Davis bombed last week, and he's had some struggles, right? He's had some games of getting 8 to 9 points for a couple weeks. He's still going to be the starter this week. He's still going to get the ball the most this week, of course. And they're going against Detroit, obviously. Detroit is a horrible running back defense. They are the worst in the league. I expect Mike Davis, this is his turnaround week, right before McCaffrey possibly could come back next week. Again, keep an eye on that because there is no exact word if he is. They may even just shelf him for the rest of the season. But Mike Davis has a great matchup this week. Make sure you put him in your lineup. Last guy I want to talk about is Kalen Ballage. A lot of people asked about him as far as the waiver. We put him in the waiver wire video. Had a couple people ask between him and maybe Ahmed from the Miami Dolphins. Ballage has a better matchup going against the Jets, who give up the 7th most points. He also had the most shares. He was getting about 78% of the snap share. We actually shared a spreadsheet kind of on our Twitter about what running backs were getting the most, right? Was it an even carry or one getting more? Ballage actually was one that was getting the most carries, getting about, like I said, about 78 to 80% of the snaps behind the line. He was getting that. So he was the guy. So make sure you start Ballage this week against the Jets. As far as sits, kind of got some bundles. So the first bundle I want to talk about is, I know it's going to be a little crazy, but the running backs for the Tampa Bay, yes, Ronald Jones did a great job. You absolutely definitely want to sit Leonard Fournette. But if you're kind of unsure about Rojo, if there's some better options, ask us. We'll see if it is. But Rojo's not somebody you really want to trust in this week, really both of them. The Rams actually do a really great job. They're 4th best against the run. Okay, so that means, obviously, I think it's going to be more of a passing game. And actually, just Rams in general do a really good job against the defense, than the defensive side. So I just don't trust both running backs this week. If you're going to start one or the other, if you're kind of unsure, Rojo would be the guy. Fournette would be the one I'm sitting for sure. But I would sit both if you possibly can. Next is the Bengals running back. So injury, nothing's really been updated yet. Mixon may or may not start. Kind of the same thing they did last week, and then all of a sudden last minute Gio comes in. Even when Gio came in, he struggled last week. And they're going against actually a pretty good defense in the Washington football team. They do a really good job at stopping the run. So whether it be Mixon or Gio, I wouldn't trust either or. Okay. Again, ask us in the comments down below, or maybe ask us on Twitter. I don't think I would put either one of them. If Gio is definitely the starter, maybe in PPR if you had to in the flex position, but not as an RB1 or RB2 this week. Last guy, I know this sounds crazy. You're going to probably start him. You're going to probably have to start him. But Aaron Jones might be somebody, I know, hear me out. Aaron Jones might be somebody you may consider benching this week. Okay? Reason for that is, one, Indy has one of the best defensive teams this season. Okay? They do a great job at stopping the run. They do a great job at stopping the pass. I'm not saying you have to bench Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Jones. What I'm saying is if you have better options, this may be the week you might have to do it. Last week, Aaron Jones, yeah, he did okay. But if you saw it, Jamal Williams is taking still a lot of snap counts. And I think part of that is I think they're still trying to ease Aaron Jones back in. I don't think he was fully healthy because, again, why would Jamal Williams get as many shares as he did? So I know it sounds crazy, but if you have some better options, Aaron Jones, I'm contemplating it. I've got some good running back depth, and I've thought about putting him down and putting Chubb in. So just, again, if you're unsure, you're kind of on the fringe, make sure you ask down below in the comments or on Twitter. We'll be able to help you out. But Aaron Jones is somebody I would possibly bench this week. I know it sounds crazy. I know. I get it. Next, we're going to talk about is the tight end position. Again, I don't know why the tight end position even exists in fantasy besides really Kelsey, Kittle, Waller. That's about it, right? I mean, if you guys think about it, this really the solid tight ends that you get every single week. Those tight ends get you 5 to 7 points. And that's okay. And that's considering PPR, okay? If it's standard, you may even get 2 to 3 points, right? unless they get a touchdown here or there. But if you obviously have to start a tight end, so my first start of the week is going to be Eric Ebron. I know I said it last week, and I know he didn't do as well as I thought he was, but he's still getting 6 targets a game. He's still getting looks. Big Ben is still looking his way. The connections just haven't been quite there, but he is somebody I would start. He's going against Jacksonville. They do a horrible job at stopping the tight end position, okay? So I would consider putting him in. Again, there's very few tight end options. He's somebody I would absolutely go after. If he's still in waivers, which I think they're only about 20% available on waivers, grab him. He's a good start. Hunter Henry is another great start this week. Reason is, again, matchup based. He had a good week last week. And I know we kind of said he wasn't, but he actually did a really good job. This week's going against the Jets, who, again, are horrible against the tight end position. And on top of that, I think, again, with the limited amount of tight end positions out there, he's someone you're going to get a solid 8 to 10 points, right? And that's good. Make sure you put him in your lineup. Next guy is Hayden Hurst. So Hayden Hurst, look, New Orleans actually does a pretty good job at the rush defense. They don't do a great job at the pass defensive side, especially against tight ends. They actually kind of struggle. I like Hayden Hurst this week. And there's a lot of uncertainty in this game with Jameis Winston starting and obviously Drew Brees being out. Granted, Jameis Winston has not been officially named the starter, but he probably will. There's a lot of uncertainty with this team, right? Nobody knows exactly how this offense is going to flow, which does change the game script in the game. If it starts to become high scoring, because I expect Winston to be the guy and the one throwing some deep balls, where Drew Brees was kind of, let's just be honest, he was lacking. There might be a bigger shootout, which means Hayden Hurst gets more targets. So Hayden Hurst is a good start. As far as sits go, Rob Gronkowski is a good sit this week. The LA Rams do a really good job at starting. On the defensive side, they do a great job at stopping the tight end. Gronk, I just don't trust this week. There's a lot of weapons, a little bit too many weapons, but Gronk's one I would bench. If it wasn't for his tight end last week, he would have had a horrible game. Noah Fant against Miami. Miami actually does a really good job, again, on the defensive side. Noah Fant, with the possibility of Drew Lock being out, loses some of that, flair, that lack, that luster that people are looking for in him. So I just don't trust him this week. Then the last guy is Robert Tonyan. Sorry, Robert Tonyan. I just like that last name. He's going against Indy. Indy is the best against the tight end position. He is not somebody I would trust at all. Don't start him. Please. Do me a favor. Just don't. Pick up somebody else. Okay? Just please do me a favor. Just don't go after this guy, okay? So we got some honorable mentions as well we'll talk about, but I want to talk about kickers and defense because obviously you guys are asking for those things. As far as kickers goes, a couple of these guys I mentioned in our waiver wire video to go after. So we got Zane Gonzalez against the Seattle Seahawks, Jason Myers against Arizona, Younghoe Koo against obviously the New Orleans Saints, Harrison Butker against the Las Vegas Raiders, and then of course Jason Sanders against Denver. These are the top 5 kickers I have. Every single one of them, if they've played these teams already, had hit double digits, or they've been hitting double digits in the past few games. Great starts for you guys this week. As far as the defensive side goes, we've got Chargers against the Jets, we've got Washington against Cincinnati, Browns versus Philly, okay? I got Steelers versus Jacksonville, and then the Dolphins versus Denver, okay? So those are some good starts for you on the defensive side. Make sure if they're available, pick them up. If you already have them, start them. That's what you're going to do. Now we'll have some honorable mentions as far as some other plays that we think are some good starts as well. So for the quarterback position, I think some good starts are going to be Roethlisberger against Jacksonville. Jameis Winston, obviously, I think he's going to have a really good game going against Atlanta. So make sure you start him. And then Alex Smith for the Washington team against Cincinnati. As far as running backs go, we got Lamichael Perine. So he actually got announced that he's going to be the starter. Finally, Adam Gase did something that has to do with coaching. But he's going to start this week. Good possible, first game, good game. Got Duke Johnson. I understand he didn't do a great job last week. I even picked him up and we talked about it on waivers. Duke Johnson still had a lot of the shares. He's still going to get a lot of the shares. You have to start him this week. And then J.D. McKissick, he's pretty much the poor man's Alvin Kamara right now. He had 29 targets in the passing game in the last 2 weeks. Yes, 29 targets. That is ridiculous. There are tight ends who all season who haven't had that. So make sure you start J.D. McKissick. As far as receivers go, I've got DJ Moore against Detroit, Christian Kirk against Seattle. He killed him last time a couple weeks ago. Chase Claypool, I think he's going to be the better receiver this week as far as the Steeler trio goes. And then as far as tight ends, Logan Thomas against Cincinnati, Jared Cook against Atlanta, and then TJ Hawkinson against Carolina. So that is your Week 11 start and sits that we have announced for you guys. Obviously, if there's anybody else you guys think, or if you're unsure, please make sure you let us know in the comments down below, or on Twitter. Make sure you follow us there. That way you can get those questions answered. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button for us. Also, hit that subscribe so you can participate in the giveaway that we're doing. And any other content or questions you guys have, or just comments, saying that, what we did for you guys helped you guys win. Again, we love seeing the comments down below. We love seeing what you guys are, telling us. Anything to help you guys get even better content with videos, right? If you guys mention something, we'll absolutely make some changes for you guys, okay? So again, just let us know down in the comments below so we can help continue to make this fantasy football channel a community channel so you guys get everything you guys are looking for your fantasy football needs. All right, so have a good one.